What is the stupidest way you have injured yourself? At camp I was bored one day, so I learned how to do backflips off of trees. I was really excited about it, so I told the whole troop, guys, check this out. Full stop. However, on this attempt my plant foot totally missed the tree trunk. So essentially, I shouted for everybody to watch me as I sprinted and just rammed full on into a tree. I was on a bike ride and I found this grass half pipe looking thing, so I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to try something. It wasn't a half pipe of grass, it was a 4-foot wall that I slowly rode my bike off and dislocated my shoulder. I was laying on my bed very tiredly, dangling a book over my face. The book fell on my face. I was walking on a flat surface. I tripped on a nothing. Broke my nose and ankle. Edit. I should add this was a couple months ago. I'm 16. I was cutting a banana. It took 13 stitches to repair my finger. Someone asked for the whole story, so here it is. I had a pocket knife and a banana. Well, boys being boys, I holding the banana in one hand and swinging the knife through the banana with the other. I misjudged a wee bit and nearly loped off about a 1.5 long section of my left trigger finger. The doc at the ER was actually mildly impressed. I assumed from this that you cut your finger on the banana, and spent far too long trying to figure out how that could happen. It's going to be one of those days. I can feel it. A friend of mine tried to do the Dukes of Hazzard Starsky and Hutch slide across the bonnet of a car and pierced his ass on a rusty window wiper. Not my story, but it's too good not to tell. I got 3 stitches when I caught my finger in the binding of an accident prevention plan. 5 years old. Decided I was Superman and nothing was gonna stand in my way. But I had to test my invincibility. So while my grandma was in the other room, I went to the stove and pushed my finger in the flames. I set a record of 5 seconds and decided it wasn't Superman's job to fight fire anyway. When I was 6, I did the same shit by trying to staple my fingers together. Natural selection ain't got nothing on me. Common natural selection ain't got nothing on me. That's debatable. So I have really powerful sneezes. And when I was in class once, I started having a fit. With each sneeze I would contract more and more really fast as my lungs and chest tightened. And on the last sneeze, one I slammed my face against the counter we sit at and caused my nose to bleed. On hitting my face, I fly back quickly, make my chair flip over, and hit my head on the square on the floor. I knocked myself out, and my face had blood on it. TLDR. I sneezed into a nosebleed and coma. Class thought I died. You pretty much self-destructed. Edit. That must have looked majestic. Wasn't a serious injury, but a few weeks back I got up in the middle of the night for a piss. It was cold and I couldn't wait to get back in bed, so when I got back into my dark room I just jumped onto the bed. I ended up doing a flying headbutt into the wooden headboard at 4 AM. I punched myself in the face and broke my glasses while opening a bottle of wine. Was 3. Carried a large rock to the top of a slide. Threw said rock as high as possible and tried to beat it to the bottom. I won. Sadly the rock was a sore loser and I had to get stitches on my head. Similar story here. Except I was 10. Threw a piece of brick to the wall trying to split it in half and bounced off and hit me on the head. Went to hospital. Got stitches. Came back home. I see the same piece of brick lying on the ground. So I decide to take my revenge on it and smash it for good this time. Unfortunately, the same result happened as the first time I tried. This wasn't a painful injury, but an embarrassing bruise. When I was in 8th grade we bought these new Ziploc bags that had a little hole with a seal near the top. And it came with a device to suck the air out. For some dumb f-king reason I decided to put the device against my cheek and let it suck. It didn't hurt at all. But when I stopped I had a decent bruise right in the middle of my cheek. It was like a stupidity hickey on my face. The next day at school I told anyone who asked I got hit with a rock. In high school I had a badass trick for lighting up matches. I would press my thumb on the head of the match to the frictional patch on the matchbox and just pull the match out. Once when I was lighting up a smoke, the head of the match got stuck under my thumb and ignited. So I got a big painful burn injury on my thumb. And here comes the genius. A friend asked me, "What happened to your thumb, man?" So I showed him the trick I was trying with my other hand. The thumb got burned too. I was attempting to do a head nod hello, but at the same time messed up and tried to do a turn head up and to the side hello. Twisted my neck and couldn't turn my head for a week. God damn it, just the imagery of this is easily the funniest F-king thing I've had in my mind all day. Blano Max's friend. "Hey man, what's up?" Blano Max. I was in a treehouse pacing around and accidentally walked off it and broke my arm. Nobody FCKing say IT. From an earlier post like this. I was eating really spicy noodles. I slurped one so hard it whipped up to my eyeball before going in my mouth. Stung like a moth FK. Red eye for 3 days. Well, I was trying to see how high I could bounce a golf ball on a sidewalk. Bounced right into my eye. Right before school picture day. Permanent reminder of my stupidity. Tore my ACL getting to the window seat on an airplane. I punched a bear at the zoo when I was 12. He had latched onto my sister's bag and was pulling her into the bars. He swatted my hand away right as I brained him. It wasn't broken, but the bruise from the bar ended up basically flooding through my entire arm. The zoo had to completely remodel the bear enclosure after that incident. Dude. You punched a bear. Dislocated my kneecap sorely air thrusting at somebody. 4 weeks on crutches. Rehab on top of that. Totally worth it. I was playing drinking games with a bunch of friends at my ex-GF's place. I went to take a piss and noticed a stray hair on my nuts that I must have missed when I trimmed up my gear earlier in the day. Lucky for me, there were sharp trimming scissors sitting right there on the bathroom sink. I grabbed them, aimed as best I could and snipped that FK, along with a good chunk of sack. Remembering the old shaving trick, I grabbed a wad of toilet paper, stuck it to my nuts, buttoned up but left my zipper down so I could maintain positive control of the wound. I partied the rest of the night clenching bloody tissue hanging from my balls. While I'm shit-faced, trying to open something that had those F-king zippy things. Used a knife. Was only able to open my thumb. I once slit my wrist on a soap dispenser. I want to clarify that I did this accidentally. Tried to hit a golf ball over a fence. It got absolutely nowhere at all. Bounced off the fence and bit me in the shin. I burnt my nipple on a toaster whilst making toast. Yeah, post I can contribute to. I was climbing a tree with a few friends. We had a few sodas up with us, and when I finished mine I decided I wanted to tear the can open with my F-king bay hands. I get about halfway through tearing the can in half when suddenly, slip. I slice my thumb open and started bleeding everywhere. I'm freaking out trying to climb down this tree. Huge pine tree. I get to the last branch before the ground, which is still about 5 feet from the ground. Pass out and hit the floor. I made it out okay. Drunk. Trampoline. Backflip. My husband and I had been fixing my mother's roof and had left the chalk line lying on it near the edge when we were done. He picked me up on his shoulders to get it. Walked in the house still on his shoulders. Right into a ceiling fan on high. 11 stitches over my left ear. While at work, I was removing vinyl stickers from a flat surface using a razor blade. This was easier to do in an upward motion. The blade slipped and I crammed the blade right into my forehead. This made a rather clean cut that bled like hell. I went home for the day out of shame. Did it for spelling. Being not used to electric stoves, I wasn't sure if my grilled cheese sandwich was done. So I leaned in to listen for a sizzle. The scar from the edge of the frying pan stayed for about 6 months. Opening this yogurt with my teeth isn't working. Let's pull a lot harder so when it rips I slam my hand on the counter, simultaneously spilling the tub of yogurt all over your chest, only to break down in shame and cry. I was expecting an important phone call. Since I was still in college at the time, I was day drinking and playing WoW. My phone was in the kitchen, so when I heard it go off, I sprinted in to pick it up. I was turning left around the corner and planted my right foot to cut. My ankle gave out and popped twice. Once was from the sprain. The second was a bone in my foot breaking. I collapsed to the carpet, yelling in pain. I didn't end up going to the doctor until the next day, when my then girlfriend insisted because the swelling and bruising was so bad. That's when I found out about the fracture. Had a walking boot for several weeks, and my ankle still pops constantly. 5 years later, the phone call was a telemarketer. When I was something like 12, I got on bike and started riding down a hill near my house. I kinda zoned out, only to run into a parked truck. Had to get stitches on my shin, and shattered one of the lights on the truck. Yay. I was playing World of Warcraft when a wasp sat on my forehead and stung me. I couldn't do anything about it because we were fighting this hard boss and I was in charge with something important and would have messed up 24 other people's time. So I had to sit there and take it like a champ. We didn't kill the boss. Sophomore year at my neighbor's house. Does fire have a smell? Fire does have a smell. It smells like burnt nose hairs and pain. Trying to take a shit while constipated. Gave myself a hernia. Was walking around in semi-high heels and hit my toe on a sun chair. Turns out I broke my big toe and like half of my foot down the middle. 3 years later and I'm still getting surgeries to fix it. I jumped off a first floor balcony and snapped my Achilles tendon because my older sister told me to. That or falling through a glass door because the chair I was swinging on gave way. I once dropped a very heavy frying pan on my foot. I was holding it in my hands, standing still, waiting for my mum to move so I could put it away and I just let go. I was 13 and trying to help out the folks by putting together a gazebo they had bought. Couldn't find a knife or some scissors in my immediate vicinity to open the box with, so I grabbed the closest pointy object I could. A flathead screwdriver. And then, instead of using said screwdriver to carefully slice the tape and open the box, I jammed it through the tape between the flaps and pushed down. The pointy end immediately broke through the tape and proceeded to stab madam in the eye. Scratched cornea. 2 weeks looking like a pirate. And 15 years of glasses. I need a diagram for this. Accidentally dropped an X-Acto knife on my dick. It sounds worse than it was. The blade only went in about 1/16 of an inch. Because I was wearing pants and underwear, which absorbed the majority of the inertia. The resulting cut looked like I had nicked myself shaving. No big deal. I put my foreskin in between the firing pin on a cap gun and pulled the trigger when I was 6 or so. Ran in front of my friend yelling last one in, and took a dive into a swimming pool. Turns out that end was about half a meter deep. My face looked like I had been beaten to a pulp. Was trying to pry a turtle's mouth open. Stabbed myself. Boyfriend and I was getting frisky in the hall of my apartment building. Slams me up against the mailboxes. Hurts my back. Both of those was yesterday. Edit. Broke my ankle jump roping. Barefooted. This doesn't seem so bad until you realize I can have jump roped in 6+ stilettos. Oh. And when I went to the hospital, got crutches. Came home. Ran into a wall trying to get used to my crutches as I hadn't used them before. Broke my toe that way. I managed to injure myself while stargazing. I was craning my neck back, admiring the stars. Got dizzy for a second and fell on a concrete step. No biggie. 2 stitches on the arm. I'm not even ashamed. That sure beats getting sticks because I was too drunk to stay upright. I was super gluing a card for a friend. Super glued some glitter to the table and realizing this while the glue was still wet, attempted to wipe the glue off the table with my hand. At this point my hand was super glued to the table, and while swearing and gesturing wildly with my other hand I knocked the open super glue tube off the table. And, out of instinct, I slapped my thighs together to catch it, squirting glue between them. A second too late I realized my mistake. So by now my legs are glued together and one hand is glued to the table. Gingerly, I peeled the super glue tube off my legs before it could completely dry. But alas, super glue dripped into my palm. Incredibly angry by this point I proceeded to scream FCKing super glue for FCK's sake just as my mother's friend walked through the door with her 6-year-old daughter. Seeing this I slapped my hand over my mouth in a did I just swear around a 6-year-old movement. Super gluing my hand over my mouth. That happened.